Hello, everyone. This is Profiler Pat Brown, and I think I actually got my intro in today. I think people are starting to wait to see how much I can screw up the beginning of the show because I hit the wrong button or I hit it too soon, and then they all get to laugh at me. But today, I think I did it. Okay, so anyway, what's happening today? Welcome everyone. I got my all my good friends here again, which is just so awesome. Lisa says she can see and hear me, so now I don't have to ask. I've got you all so well trained. I should send money in the mail. Yeah, you send me your address. So today I'm going to do a show that includes both Oscar Pistorius and Joseph Mesa. Almost everybody knows who this dude is. Almost nobody knows who this dude is. I'm going to ask you guys, how many of you guys know who Joseph Mesa is? How many have a clue? Have a clue? And while you're telling me whether you have a clue who Joseph Mesa is, I want to tell you that Oscar Pistorius was a request from one of my new Patreon subscribers, which I will tell you about in a minute. She joined Patreon and she's joined at the 3rd level so she can join the Hangouts during the week. And the poor woman is in Hong Kong. Hong Kong is 12 hours ahead. So when I do my Hangouts at 7 o'clock at night, then it's 7 o'clock in the morning for her. So I have some I'm now doing at 4 o'clock in the afternoon for my UK folk. So it'll be 9 o'clock their time. But for this poor woman, May, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, how can you even come to my Hangouts? And she said, I don't care. I love your stuff and I want to support you. And I'm like, this is awesome. So I'm going to find some way to do this Hangout Asia. So I'm trying to include Hong Kong, China, Taiwan, and India, but it's tricky to try to find a way to do that. But I really appreciate that. Anyway, because May joined, and she said, I really want you to do Oscar Pistorius. And I'm like, all right, you can't make it to my Hangout. We're going to do Oscar. So exactly. Okay, so some of you are saying, like Lisa says, I know who Pistorius is, but not Mesa. And Otto says, never heard of him. And Dr. Ahmed said, oh, you're in Egypt. It's 11 p.m. in Egypt. Thank you. You're so wonderful. You've been following me for a while, and I always appreciate it. And anybody who knows me knows I've been to Egypt twice, so I have a little affinity for Egypt here. Lakeside Justice says, I have no idea. Never heard of the rascal. Okay, literally nobody has a clue who this dude is. So I'm going to do a very short bit on him because he's guilty as hell. So there's no that I'm not going to be talking about how he committed the crime and if he committed the crime and whether he was guilty or not guilty. I'll be doing that on Oscar. I'm not going to do it on this dude. He's guilty as hell. But I do want to point out some of the issues about the disabled. And so this is very important here. And I like what Oscar had to say. He said, you are not disabled by the disabilities you have. You're able by the abilities you have. Exactly. And yeah, I say disability, not inability. That was my quote. And then I found his quote. I'm like, we're on the same page, Oscar. So a lot of people believe that if someone is disabled in some way, that they cannot be criminals. Not true, folks. So I'm going to go into that right now. With him, it's just going to be very short, and then I'm going to go into Oscar. Okay, now I'm already hot. Whew, man almighty. Okay, so before I start, because I should do this because otherwise I'm not going to be doing this very long. So I'm going to go to my little quick spiel. So if you're new here, for God's sakes, just hang in for 3 seconds while I give my I need money spiel. Because I do. What? Well, there it is. Okay. I almost thought I lost my money spiel slide. So anyway, I'm telling you, my last Hangout was demonetized I was talking about hoaxes. No photos, no crime scene stuff, hoaxes. I was talking about hoaxes. I got demonetized. What? Okay, so over here is Patreon. Join Patreon. If you can just give me $1 a month, hey, if enough people do it, the show keeps going. There's also $3 a month. And if you join for $7, you join the Hangouts. Hopefully you can make it. If you can't, tell me about it and I'll try to find a way for you to make it. Hey, you're cheap. Oh, sorry. You're a nice person, but you don't want to spend money right now. It's Christmas season. And this coronavirus, you don't have any money. I understand. Hey, just subscribe, for God's sake. Just subscribe, hit the bell, find out about the shows, share with your friends, because you might have some rich friends. So share with all your friends on your, like, any kind of, like, Facebook crime, one of those, Facebook crime pages, anything you can put it on, a group type of thing. Do that for me. Like the video. Buy a book. It's $2.99. Hey, that's your Christmas present. Okay, I'm done. I'm a shitty salesperson, but I'm gonna say I said a bad word, but they're gonna demonetize this video anyway. So, oh my God. Okay, so, oh my God, you made the. Oh, that's so nice. You made the live stream. Yay! You made a live stream. See, we're here for you. Okay, I'm here for you. I have no crew. Because somebody said, why the hell don't you have decent, like, why do you have so many problems with electronics? Why don't you have hair and makeup? Why isn't your studio better? I'm like, dude, I have no crew. This is my dining room table. Send me lots of money. Join Patreon. When I start doing that, like, I have 1 million subscribers and I make like 100,000 a month. Hey, I'll hire everybody. I'll be just gorgeous. I'll look so good you won't believe it. No, I just love you guys. You can hang out at my dining room table. I don't care. I really don't care. Anyway, all right. So, what Molly says, can they give you a list? They do. They have this whole list, and none of mine are anything that should be demonetized. So what happens is they demonetize me by the algorithm or whatever kind of electronic-y thing. And then I ask for a human review, which apparently is a whole bunch of people probably just making $15 an hour, sitting in a call center going, I don't like that woman. Demonetized. Another person goes, she's pretty cool. Monetized. You have to have a sense of humor. Oh my God, yes. Merry Christmas to all you guys do. Anyway, all right, let's get to the show. So, oh my God. Sometimes I just like to have people like, you're not serious enough. Okay, I like to have some fun. I mean, if I can't have fun, I enjoy it with people who come here and chat with me. If I can't have some fun, I really don't even want to do this. So I'm having fun. Okay, so let's get to this dude. This guy is Joseph Mesa. And you ask, who is this guy? All right, he's a deaf guy. He's deaf. But before I go into him, I just want to talk about people who have disabilities. Can they be like criminals? Yes, they can be criminals. Let me tell you how. Okay, so I used to work as a sign language interpreter in the hospital, and there was this dude who always came in, and he always pretended he had sickle cell anemia, which he didn't. So he'd come in with these sickle cell crises. Oh, I'm having so much pain. Oh my God, oh my God. And they're like, what do you need? He's like, well, just hit me up with some Demerol and give me some Percocet to go. And they're like, oh, poor deaf guy. Oh, poor deaf guy. And they give him the stuff. Dude walked out of there and sold that shit on the street. He was a drug dealer. Not a poor deaf guy, drug dealer. And he was a total psychopath. And I'm like, I couldn't tell the doctors because I'm an interpreter, so I can't tell them, that dude's a lying dog, lying dog. If you learn some sign language here during the show, you will. Lying dog. Anyway, so he would walk out with all these drugs and he'd sell them on the street. So that can happen. Okay, let's talk about a deaf person who is a burglar. What home do they want to burgle? I'll tell you, deaf people's homes, because deaf people can't hear them coming. And they know that. It's like, oh, man, they're deaf in there. They don't know nothing. And, if you're a deaf dude and you're burgling a hearing person's home, you don't know if you're making noise or not. So you really don't want to go into a hearing person's home going, and then the hearing person's like, oh, dude. Yeah. So you go into a deaf person's home, goes, they can't hear you, and you know it. Okay. Third example. And this is actually a sad one, so I'm going to get a sad face because people tell me I make too much fun in sad situations. Okay. So anyway, this was sad. So a lot of times girls come into the emergency room and they have been raped. Sometimes the girls would show up and they come with a friend and they said, they tell the doctor they were raped, at a party, and then the girls would like be giggling. I'm like, why are you laughing? And they do the whole rape kit thing. And then they go, you want to go to like Denny and eat something? And I'm like, is that what you do after a rape? So sometimes it was more a case of I drank too much and I don't know why I was with this dude, but he's ugly, dude. I don't know why I was with him. And I'm going to go say I was raped. That happens. But there was this girl. She came in. She was from Sweden. She was a Gallaudet University. That's where he was at. Has a lot of international students. This girl came in. And she just cried and cried and cried and cried. All she said was, I want my mommy. I want my mommy. And so the doctor said, what happened? And she told him. She said, I was at a party. Because, that's sometimes where things happen. And she walked down a hall to go to the bathroom. Just before she got to the bathroom, some dude came up behind her and pushed her into a side room. And he attacked her. He jumped on top of her. He raped her. And when he got up, he spit on her and he walked out. Now, some people who are hearing will say, well, why didn't she scream? I'm like, the whole party was deaf. She could scream, doesn't matter. No one's going to hear her. They're deaf. They're not hearing her. So it didn't work. So she was 100% raped. And it was horrible. And I felt so bad for her because all she said was, I want my mommy. And her mommy was in Sweden. So, but you can scream. But if the rapist, that person knows that she's deaf and knows that all the people at the party are deaf, he's like, I'm in good, because she can scream and scream and scream, and it doesn't matter because all of them, they're deaf and they're not going to hear anyway. So it doesn't matter. So my point about this is you can have a disability, but your ability is trying to find the right victim. I've talked a lot about female serial killers. What is the number one target of female serial killers? Children, little children. Now I'm going to sign for everything. Children. Children. Why children? Because children are vulnerable to a woman who is not so strong that she's going to knock a bunch. She's not going to jump out of bushes and rape men. It's just not probably her thing. She's going to find a victim that she can control. As a matter of fact, most serial killers, when they jump out of those bushes, like let's say they're in the bush and they're hiding and they're like, oh, what the heaven's name? Sorry. Oh my God. A broom for no reason whatsoever just fell in my kitchen and hit a picture on the wall. That is freaky. Okay. There's poltergeists in my house. Okay. Anyway, so the dude is hiding in the bushes. He's looking for his victim. And so a woman comes running by. The woman is 6 foot, 195 pounds, solid muscle. That guy's like, yeah, I'm not doing that. Not that one. The next girl comes. She's 5'1". She's 102 pounds. He's like, that'll work. Because he wants to win. Serial killers want to win. They don't want to lose. They want to win. So you pick a victim that you can beat, essentially. So that's what it comes down to. So it doesn't matter whether you have a disability. It matters if you have an ability to hurt the person that you want to hurt. There's another example I want to just give. I was in the hospital one time, and this dude was in a wheelchair. And they brought him in, and he had like some scratches and some like bruising on his face. And I'm like, oh, poor guy. And I'm interpreting for him. And then they said, can you interpret for his girlfriend? I go into the room. His girlfriend is, I can't say that word. I'm really not going to say it. Messed up. She had, her eye was swollen shut. She had bruises. Her whole face was messed up. I'm like, whoa. Because I'm thinking somebody had hurt the man in the wheelchair. No. The man in the wheelchair had attacked his girlfriend. So what happened was she got a little too close, and he got hold of her arm. And once he got hold of her arm, because he's a guy and he's strong, and a lot of guys in wheelchairs, they do a lot of, pump weights or something. You know what I mean? Get really strong upper bodies. He got hold of her arm. He beat the crap out of her. That's ability. He had a disability, but he used his ability. So there you go. That's what Oscar said. So anyway, I'm going to get to Oscar in a minute. So here we have this guy. So This guy was a student at Gallaudet University. This is Gallaudet University, in case you don't know. Gallaudet University is a deaf university in Washington, D.C. And lots of deaf people come from all over the country and from all over the world. They're like, come in and they enjoy themselves now and get their education. It's fabulous. It's a wonderful community. The best university in the world for deaf people. It's absolutely amazing. Well, Mesa came in from Guam. And while I was in Guam, apparently they thought he was a pretty cool dude. But anyway, he wasn't such a cool dude. So anyway, let's see what happened. These two guys ended up dead at Gallaudet University. I'm going to tell you what happened there. And I want to show you one little problem with police work here. Okay, so in year 2000, there was an on-campus murder of a Gallaudet University freshman, Eric Plunkett, and brought panic to the famed College for the Deaf in Washington, D.C. Just weeks in the fall semester, this outgoing 18-year-old had been found dead in his single dorm room. He didn't even have a roommate. No roommate, just ended up dead. He suffered blunt force trauma, including injuries to his face and head. Police surmised he had been choked and then beaten with a nearby chair. Here's a mistake they made. Police believe the scene suggested a rage killing, perhaps by someone Plunkett knew. Now, I want to talk about rage killing, because we may be talking about that in my next discussion of Oscar. Rage killing is not always done by a person who is in a strong relationship with somebody. Sometimes rage killings are like serial killers, because serial killers hate everybody. And so a lot of times when a serial killer kills somebody, it looks like a rage killing because they hate that person they're killing. Not because they have any relationship, but just because they hate them in general. You know, like, I hate all women. I just hate everybody. No, it doesn't. It could be a dude. I hate them too. I hate students. I hate everybody. You know, I hate the world, you know, or whatever. And so you don't have to be in a relationship to have a rage killing. And they made a mistake on that. In the insular campus, where the students once felt safe, police started questioning those with knowledge of Plunkett's activities. And by the way, this is Plunkett over here. One of his new friends, Joseph Mesa. Where have I heard that name before? Oh, yeah, in the beginning of the show. The one you don't know. This poor dude knew Joseph Mesa. Also 18, lived across the hall. It was Mesa who first raised concerns about Plunkett. After Plunkett failed to show up for scheduled math tutoring, and his always open door remained locked. Police questioned Mesa, but focused their attention elsewhere after learning that Plunkett had an apparent romantic interest in another student, Thomas Minch. I don't have a picture of Thomas Minch. Poor Thomas Minch. Minch really got screwed on this one. Thomas Minch said, I had told police we were really good friends, but never close. Like we were best, we weren't like even best friends, but I had no type of intimate relationship or other type of interest in him. So Minch had been at the theater rehearsal during the time authorities believed Eric was killed, but there was still enough evidence after rehearsal for Thomas to have committed the murder. So there was a recent confrontation between the two of them. Eric had invited me to his room just to sit and chat, and he was trying to make some moves on me, said Minch. So he was interested in Minch. He was like attracted to him. And I had told him, wait a second, we're just good friends. I'd rather not go that far. And he just kept trying to push a little bit. Police arrested Minch, but the prosecutor, this is what's interesting, prosecutor found no probable cause and refused to charge him. The police were not dissuaded and kept him on their radar, leaving Minch in limbo. With suspicious swirling, Gallaudet banned him from campus. So this poor dude who did nothing wrong got banned from campus. He lost his college career because they decided he was having this romantic relationship with this guy and got mad and went into a rage killing, which he didn't. All right. But here's what happened. So after they chucked Minch off the campus, this guy got murdered. It's like 5 months later, this guy got murdered. And then the police went, crap. Police are not perfect, folks. I'm on the police's side the majority of the time. And sometimes you just didn't see it coming. And they're like, crap. So a fire alarm aroused the residents of Cogswell Hall, same hall, the search to clear the dorm, and a residential advisor opened a locked door and found Plunkett, his former neighbor, so they live nearby, because they're in the same dorm. Benjamin Varner, 19 years old, dead in his room. He had been stabbed in the head, back, neck, and chest, and his throat was also slashed. And here's where I want to point out something that another big mistake in the serial homicide world. The concept of signature. This dude was beaten to death. This guy was stabbed. Oh my goodness. They use different weapons. Must be different killers. No. Sometimes you just use one time. Punch. Oh man, I hurt my fist. I'm going to use a knife next time. That's the way it really works. That is signature. That's not signature because you used a different weapon, not signature. Okay. But this time, a trail of bloody sneaker prints offered new clues. And once again, the student body at Gallaudet wondered among them who might be a killer. Okay. So what happened was, finally, everything led to our dear friend Mesa, who you've never heard of before. This guy. Okay. He ends up getting life terms. He was found to have been the killer. And there's some really interesting things about him, and this is what I want to point out before I go to just into this deeper dive over here. Mesa was sentenced yesterday, which was in 2002, to 2 life without parole terms for the brutal murders of his Gallaudet University classmates. All right. By the time Mesa wrapped his beefy arm, I like how they say he's beefy. I guess Guam dudes are beefy. Around the neck of fellow freshman Eric Plunkett, he was beginning to live out deadly fantasies he had harbored since adolescence. 2 court-appointed psychiatrists wrote in evaluations. One of the psychiatrists viewed him, said his psyche was as similar to a serial killer. Maybe because you at least killed 2 dudes, you're a serial killer. He wrote that Mesa found the murder as gratifying as if it were an end in itself. In other words, Mesa did steal from these guys as well, but it was actually the murders that thrilled him. Mesa told the doctors of beating a cat to death with a baseball bat when he was a teenager, then killing its kittens. He related the tale with a twinkle in his eye. Okay, oddly enough, I don't know what it is with serial killers and cats, but they like to kill cats. Maybe because cats are like psychopaths themselves, so it's like, I'm the only psychopath here. Sorry, cat lovers, and do remember, I have Ziggy the cat, and I do love my Ziggy. All right. So there was a dark side to his being. All right. So it goes on. Let's say. Oh, so he told the judge he was very sorry for what he had done. Okay. Now, this is just really amusing in a very sad way. But I'm going to tell you what's amusing in a very sad way. So he had a defense. I want you to know the dude has a defense. Let me tell you what it is. All right. This is so good. That's why I have to go with him first before I go to this, because this is just good. Joseph Mesa Jr. insisted under cross-examination that he is plagued by violent images that force him to kill, even though he also plotted, to convince the jury he was insane. So, he had this problem. But then again, maybe I'm just making it up. The prosecutor asked why anyone should believe the story he tells now rather than what he said to the police originally. You didn't have 15 months to think about an answer. And I want to point this out because it's going to be important with, same thing with Oscar. You have the original statement, and then you have 50 months later when the lawyers are working with you and you come up with a whole completely new story. That's usually because the lawyers are working with you, trying to save your butt from getting a life sentence or a death penalty. But not because it's true. They are working with you to come up with a better story. All right. So originally, Mesa admitted to robbing and killing his fellow people and all that stuff. But now he says he has images. This has been plaguing him for years. He has these images. Let me show you what the images are. He has images of black hands. Okay? It's images of black hands plaguing him for years. And when they do violent things, he can't stop himself from repeating them. Mesa, who was profoundly deaf, spoke through an interpreter. Okay, so what he's saying is this. I have these black hands, and they're forcing me to kill, 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 kill. That's a sign for kill. Kill, 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 kill. I don't want to kill, but these hands, they're forcing me to kill, 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 kill. The black hands. Reminds me of David Berkowitz and the dog that told him to kill. But these are the black hands that told him to kill. And if you're wondering in the picture that when you look at this particular video, you see this sign. That's wrong. That means wrong. A lying dog. Whoops, no, this guy. Lying dog. Maybe lying dog. This guy too. But okay. Anyway, those are the black hands. I wanted to show you that today because it just made me laugh. So just to finish this up, the guy also, was this the judge? Let's see, was it the judge who asked him this? Oh, the prosecutor. The prosecutor also asked him, he said, you have these inconsistencies in your testimony. You said you wanted to be caught. No serial killer ever wants to be caught. If they say that, lying dog. Okay. He testified he wanted to be caught and tried to leave clues for the police. Sure he did. But then why, Boasberg, I don't know how to pronounce this, Boasberg asked, that's the prosecutor, did Mesa throw suspicion onto another student? And why did he try to hide the jacket he wore and the knife he used during the second murder? Mesa said he was scared and he may have made some poor decisions. Okay, so the poor decisions weren't killing the students. They were just getting rid of the implements that you used to kill them. And he said he threw the items into a trash receptacle because it was a suspicious place. And he expected the police to find them. That is how he got caught. He threw his stuff away in the trash. And when the police went through it, they found it. And he got caught. It's called stupid. That's another sign for you to learn. Stupid. Okay. And then the prosecutor also showed Mesa excerpts from the letters he wrote to his girlfriend from prison. Stupid girlfriend. Stupid girl. What are you thinking about? The dude's a serial killer. Why are you even his girlfriend? Okay. Sorry, that was an aside. In one he wrote, if we make up the stories, it will make the detectives confused. That's good. Another one said, I can always plead temporary insanity. That's a very good defense theory. He also wrote that he asked his brother to destroy evidence. Okay. So basically what I'll point out is the dude's deaf. He's not unable to kill people. And clearly he did. And there's no question about this. The evidence was excellent. He's in prison for life. He killed 2 people, 2 students that had done nothing to him. The dude's a psychopath and a serial killer. If you have a disability, it doesn't mean you can't be a psychopath. If you have a disability, it doesn't mean you cannot hurt other people. Sorry, hold on a second. Talk too long. It doesn't mean you can't hurt other people. It doesn't mean you cannot be a criminal. You have the ability. And some people think, and I want to point this out, because it's also important with Oscar, that because you're disabled in some way, maybe you're deaf, maybe you, like Oscar, don't have a couple legs to walk. Well, actually, he had 2 legs. They were just short. He could actually walk. They just weren't strong legs because they weren't full legs. You might be blind. You could have a million disabilities. You'd be in a wheelchair, whatever. But it doesn't mean you're not a psychopath, because as you're growing up, what you see sometimes in talk shows and stuff like that, you hear about a person who everybody cares about when they're growing up. Like, here's this poor child who's disabled, and so he has this perfect life. The mom and dad who care, people always there for him, trying to help him and do everything for him. Some people with disabilities get that luck. They have great parents. They have everything behind them. Some people are completely screwed. A lot of deaf children, like him, I don't know about his parents, but 90% of deaf children are born into hearing families, and the hearing families don't learn sign language. Most of them don't learn how to sign, and they talk to their kids, and the kids are like, I have no clue what you're saying. And so there's like no communication as they're like growing up in their own family. And it's a very sad situation. Things are getting better these days, but they're still really tough. And you have deaf kids who grew up in deaf families, and they're like, they have no problems with communication. And those tend to be the kids that grow up, do well, and go on to university and do well in their work life, and much more secure people. because they have good communication when they're young. But, disabled people, people with disabilities, have kind of the same crappy crapshoot that we all have in life. Some of us get great parents. Some of us get sucky parents. Some of us get poor parents. Some of us get rich parents. Some of us have bad things happen. And some of us, we don't even know why we become psychopaths, but some people just become psychopaths, whoever we are, and even if sometimes their family life doesn't look so bad, they can become psychopaths or narcissistic or whatever else their issues are. So I do believe that you can't discount a disabled person from being able to become a criminal or commit a crime. Now, it is probably true that to some extent, a disabled person might realize that it's harder for them to do it and get away with it because of certain circumstances. So there may be less disabled criminals than there are able-bodied criminals for that reason. But that doesn't mean they can't exist. It just might be a lower proportion of the community. Because sometimes the communities are very smaller and very self-contained. You might have like a school for the blind and it's very self-contained, or a school for the deaf and very self-contained. So that may be why. Well, it's hard to do things around here because everybody knows who I am. But then again, he went to Gallaudet University and killed off his roommates. Not even his roommates, his dorm mates. So sometimes you can't stop them. So I just wanted to bring this up because I think it's very important to understand somebody like Mesa before we go to somebody like Oscar Pistorius, because he's a huge celebrity, or was, and he's what people consider a nobody because nobody knew him. So let's go to Oscar, and because here's another guy. He was disabled, but what about this guy? But before I go on, let me just see if you have anything to say here. Okay, so wait a minute. I'm going to get up. So some of these. Emily says, "Cool props." I asked my daughter. I said, "Do you have any black gloves? Because I want to do the black glove thing." Oh, Annie says, "I have blind students and parents never learned Braille either." Yeah, Annie is a wonderful teacher. In case you don't know Annie, Annie is an incredibly great teacher of many students with different disabilities, and she's correct. I mean, here you got a blind student. For God's sakes, learn stuff about their world that they're living in, because they are blind. I learned Braille basic Braille when I was 15. I worked with the Columbia Lighthouse for the Blind when I was a teenager. I learned Braille, the first level. Annie will know this, and a lot of you won't. I was working on the next level, 1.5, I believe it was. And I was getting there, and then I don't know what happened in my life. But I used to read Braille under the covers at night because I like to read at night. My mother wouldn't let me keep the light on, so I'm like, "Hey, Braille, working good for me." But I knew a lot of blind students, and right, their parents just basically chucked them off and said, "Teach them," and didn't actually participate in their upbringing to a great extent as far as education went. And the same thing is true for a lot of deaf kids, especially outside of the United States. Deaf children in other parts of the world. I went over to India a few years ago to Punjab. I worked in a deaf school there, and a lot of those children, if they hadn't been at that school, they wouldn't learn sign language at all because their families were not involved. And so the families are struggling. I mean, you can't always blame the families. They're struggling to survive themselves, and they don't know anything about sign language. They don't know what to do with this deaf kid. But luckily, there was this wonderful school in Punjab, and the kids were able to go there and get educated. So, but it's a tricky situation. So, anyway, all right. So many cool people. I'm not going to get into Pistorius yet as to what you think he did, but okay, let's go to Pistorius. All right. So, who was Oscar? So Oscar Pistorius. I mean, if you don't know him, where have you been? I mean, the dude was quite amazing, actually. And a really sad thing. You see, he's called the Blade Runner. You see the blades on his legs. He got these fantastic, fancy running legs. He had regular prosthetic legs too. Some people get confused about that. The ones that look like that, their legs in a pair of shoes. That's what he has in his home. So if he wanted to get up and answer the door, he would put on those prosthetic legs. He would put those on, and they would have shoes on them, and then he'd walk to the door he would look like he had legs on. These are the running prosthetics, and there was a lot of issues. He was in the Paralympics, which meant that there's rules there too, but you could, you were considered disabled. and you were able to add these methodologies to be able to run. And he ran like you would not believe. If you haven't seen this dude run, oh my God, just go to YouTube and watch him run. I mean, he's got prosthetic legs. I don't care. He could probably run on his stumps, and he beat me out anyway. It's amazing what he does with these things. It's just, and he's a beauty to behold. I mean, he's just, it's like, it's I can't even explain. It's just wonderful to watch. Now, he also wanted to go to the Olympics, the actual Olympics, not the Paralympics, which had disabled people, but totally able-bodied people. And there was a huge argument over whether he should be able to do that or not, because the question was, did these give him a disadvantage or an advantage, these fancy Blade Runner things? And that was a reasonable question, because the use of these can in one way help you and one way not help you. So they had to determine whether they were giving you an advantage over able-bodied people. So there's a whole thing on that. Anyway, he did run in the Olympics, and so he became extremely famous for, he really shone a light on disabled people being able to participate in all kinds of sports and to be successful, to be regardless of your disability. Like he pointed out, let me read it again, because I think it's absolutely important. It's absolutely important what he said, and not taking away from where he's at now. You are not disabled by the disabilities you have. You're able by the abilities you had. So he had some abilities, and he took those abilities, he added them to these prosthetic, fancy Blade Runner things, and the dude was spectacular. And it's so spectacular. Look at this. Look at this. Don't look at the legs. Look at the records. He became, I mean, he was, as somebody pointed out, in South Africa, they're like, we know him in South Africa, but we didn't know he was more well known in the rest of the world than South Africa. He was like, he hung out with Nelson Mandela and got any photos taken with him. He was on all kinds of talk shows. He was handsome. Let's face it, the dude's handsome. And so he had a handsome guy. He had his upbringing. Let me just tell you about his upbringing really quickly, because I think it's important. His parents were, I would say, middle class South Africans. Unfortunately, his father kind of walked out on the family, leaving her with his mother with 3 children. That wasn't a good thing for him. And then his mother died when he was a teen, which really sucked. So these things might have had an effect on his feeling of security or whatever else. Apparently, an uncle took over and sent him to a really fine school. So, and his mother was really good when he was growing up. She's like, yeah, dude, your legs are kind of short, because he was born with these messed up legs. And so what they ended up doing was amputating below the knee, so that he would have his knee, but he wouldn't have his feet. And then the prosthetics would add that much to him. And it worked out. His mother was great in the sense that she was like, dude, it is the way it is. Use those prosthetic legs and move on. And he did. And he loved sports. So he was involved in all kinds of sports in this private school. He wasn't given any extra leeway on everything. He really did what he had to do. So it's very impressive. And I want to point out, because this was South Africa and the time was not good, he was fortunate to be at least a middle-class white South African, where a lot of people who weren't in such good straits, like a lot of the Black South Africans, they would, if you were poorer than this dude, you wouldn't be getting any fancy legs of any sort. So he had that advantage. And I point that out because that's part of the issue about his personality. He had these advantages. The dude should have been thrilled. No, if I were living in some of the locations where my fellow Black South Africans were living, I'd be on my stumps. I wouldn't be on any fancy legs, because I wouldn't have that, But because I was fortunate enough to be born in this particular instance, and in a time when white South Africans had more money and more power, and my parents were able to get me these fancy things, and my uncle was able to help, I got to go to a great private school and get fancy legs. That's the point, is that you should be thankful when you just get lucky. Dude was lucky. The dude was incredibly lucky. So then he gets even luckier. The dude makes it. You see this? The dude's like a millionaire at this point. Guy's making money. And then he's got girlfriends. He tends to like these blonde girls. And so eventually he ends up with this lovely blonde girl. Now, let me just for the sake of, for all of you who, well, maybe maybe almost none of you who don't know who this anything about Oscar Pistorius and what happened to him. I'm just going to read you the really quick Wikipedia thing. I sent money to Wikipedia, by the way, because they're like, hey, you keep using Wikipedia, and are you sending me money? I'm like, I want people to send me money. I should send you money. So I did send them money because I do use them a lot, even though they're kind of screwed up sometimes. Let's face it, there's some useful information, and it's very handy. So, okay, so Oscar Pistorius, just to let you know, both of his feet were amputated when he was 11 months old due to a congenital defect. He was born with missing the outside of his feet and fibula. Okay. Pistorius ran in both non-disabled sprint events and in sprint events for below-knee amputees. He was the 10th athlete to compete in both Paralympic Games and Olympic Games. So this is where he just became a champion. After becoming a Paralympic champion, he attempted to enter non-disabled international competitions over persistent objections because of the, are the Blade Runner things like giving him a, unfair advantage. But at any rate, he did really well. He became the first amputee with a non-disabled world track record track medal. So it was cool. He participated. He did well. He didn't win, but he did really well. And so this dude should have been on top of the world, absolutely on top of the world. However, here we have Riva. Her name is Riva. I'm going to try to pronounce her name correctly. Riva Steenkamp. He was living in Pretoria at the time. So on 14th of February 2013, Pistorius shot and killed his girlfriend, paralegal and model Riva Steenkamp, in his Pretoria home. Now, I just want to point out about this girl. The girl is stunningly beautiful, but she was also studying to be a lawyer. So she was smart and beautiful. And they've been in a relationship like 3 months. And you wouldn't think things should go bad in 3 months. And I wanted to say this because I said this to, I think it was to Martin. Martin said, somebody had asked me about his interviews. And then I said, because Martin was saying, I don't think this guy's a rage killer, can't control his girlfriends. And I pointed out, when all the interviews I saw him, I mean, he's very, very likable. Super, super likable. I mean, the dude's handsome, rich, and likable. When he talks, he comes across as extremely humble, caring about other people, caring about the community. Dude comes off really well on television. And I want to point this out because we, outside of police investigations and outside of knowing a person personally, often we base our presumptions, or we presume things, and we base our determinations on what we see in the public eye. I can tell you, well, maybe I can't. if I'm doing when I was doing television for all those years, I had a lot more controls over me. I could only had so much time to talk. I could only say so much. I had hair and makeup. That's a different person than you're seeing here, because that's just me now. So you might have had a different impression of me during those years than you'll have of me now. And actually, some people have commented on that. They're like, I didn't know that woman was crazy. But it's different because I don't have those controls. When you're doing television, you have controls. So you're presenting yourself to the public. He was presenting himself to the public, and he was very, very good at it. But it doesn't mean it's the real him, and that's the problem. But I mean, dang, if I was a woman of Riva's age and I saw this dude presenting himself to the public, he's a fantastic athlete, good-looking dude, rich as hell, and now he's like, everybody loves him, and he goes on TV and he's so humble and nice. I want to hook up with him. I want to hook up with him. So anyway, she hooked up with him, and they were only like 3 months into the relationship. And there were, she had, on the night she was killed, she had actually put out a little Valentine's present for him for the next day. And it seems like she loves him still, and she wants him to have a present. But there are enough phone, like text messages and other things over the period of time before that, which showed there was a problem in the relationship, and that she was uncomfortable with some of his behaviors, which appeared to be quite controlling, things that would turn into rage and anger. She was concerned about those things, and she said, this is not okay. Now, that doesn't mean he's going to kill her. It just means that there's something to pay attention to. Now, he had 2 incidents prior to this moment of when she was murdered, because she was murdered. There's no question he shot her. That's not the issue. The question is, did he shoot her on purpose, or, as he claims, he was shooting and he thought it was an intruder? And I'll get to that in a minute. But there were a couple things in his past which were concerning. One was he was like really into guns, which I'm not against that. I own a weapon myself. It's okay to go to the in my opinion, it's okay to go to the range and shoot your gun. It's okay to buy a couple of them. I don't have an issue with this. But somebody handed him a gun under the table at a restaurant, and he shot it. Apparently, when he took the gun, he shot the gun, and it went off in a restaurant, and he didn't want to take responsibility for it. That's concerning to me. That's carelessness and not owning what you're doing. And then there was another incident where he was in a vehicle with friends, and the police stopped them, and his weapon was on the seat, where it should not have been. And the police looked in, and he said, "Hey, that's mine." He got really nasty toward the police officer. And then when they took off, eventually, then he shot supposedly through the sunroof. It's like bang, bang. This is a lot of irresponsibility and a kind of a misuse of weaponry. A weapon should be considered a weapon. It's something that you take very seriously, because it is a dangerous thing. You use it only when you're in danger, not for amusing yourself and being careless with it. So there's a little bit of things here that you're going, maybe there's some issues with this dude. All right, so let's go to the night everything happened, because this is where it gets dicey. All right. Now, I want to point out something about South Africa, first of all, just to be fair to the dude. Okay, you see this? This is a picture taken from a video cam. And there's actually a video of these. You can go on and see all these videos. And you'll see people being attacked by home invaders. So, and they're attacking people. And there's a lot of these videos. So South Africa at the time was a very volatile place. And people who had money were scared. Okay, I've already been demonetized. Shitless. They're scared shitless. They're thinking somebody's coming. They're breaking into my house. That I get out of the car, I'll get attacked getting out of the car. Sometimes it's not just one person; it's 3, 4 people, a gang, and they carry weapons, and you end up dead, and they kill your family. So it was a very, very frightening time for people who had a relative amount of money, and of course, Oscar did have a relative amount of money. He was staying in a very lovely place, and so that lovely place could be targeted. Now, mind you, that lovely place also had apparently a pretty good. It was a gated community with a good system and all that. But he claimed, and okay, I'm going to show you a picture of what he claimed, and it is interesting because it's actually see up here. This is the bathroom. This is the bathroom area. Okay, and down here, can you see that? Oh, see the ladder? See the ladder, like right there, right there, ladder. He claimed that there were some workmen who were using ladders on the outside of the building. And he's later said, now this is later said, so I don't know, whether this is something he made up later, because he found out there were ladders down there. But theoretically, that those ladders could be used to then climb up to his windows, because obviously without the ladders, you can't get up to the windows. I mean, that's just not something you're going to be doing. I mean, even a rock climber can't get up there because it's a flat surface, not working real well. I mean, maybe you could throw something. But there were ladders. So yeah, theoretically, you could get in here. And this is actually this window is the window that was supposedly opened. Okay. Now, let me get into how this actually goes down, because this is where it all gets really interesting. All right. Let me see if I can find the story that he tells. He tells 2 stories, and this is very interesting. Is the first story he tells true? Is the second story he tells true? And why is it a second story? You remember Mesa and how he added onto a story 15 months later? This is the problem we run into. Okay, so let me go to his story, his first story. Let me find the first story, because that's the second story. Okay, the defense statement. Okay. I'm going to start with the basic defense statement, and then I'm going to tell you the other story he told, which is I'm going, interesting change. All right. On the 13th of February, on 2013, Riva she went supposed to go with friends, but she ended up spending his time she came to his house, let's put it that way, and stayed with him. They had a quiet dinner at home. At 2200, so we're talking 10 o'clock at night, we were in our bedroom. She was doing her yoga exercises. I was in bed watching television. My prosthetic legs were off. We were deeply in love. Well, that has nothing to do with this crime, but okay. We were deeply in love, and I could not be happier. I know how she felt the same way because she gave me a present for Valentine's Day, but asked me to only open it the next day. And this is true. There was that. After Riva finished her yoga exercises, she got into bed, and we both fell asleep. I am acutely aware of violent crime being committed by intruders entering homes with a view to commit crime. This is the one I was showing you here. He's aware of the dangers he could be in because he's a wealthy. I have received death threats before. It had nothing to do with this and never been proven. I've also been a victim of violence and burglaries before. For that reason, I kept my firearm, a 9mm, underneath my bed when I went to bed at night. I don't object to that. I get it, because and people who don't own guns or don't believe in self-defense and say, well, let's call the police. By the time the police get there, you're dead. So a person who is trying to protect themselves will have preferably their weapon right on the nightstand, like right there. So literally, if they hear somebody like coming in their bedroom door, they can grab that and shoot. Preferably your bedroom door is locked, which Oscar actually says his was. Because if you're that concerned, I tell women who have stalkers, they lock your bedroom door because they have to break the bedroom door down then. And during that moment of time, they're breaking the bedroom door down, you have a chance to get your weapon like this. Now, he claimed it was under the bed. I'm not sure why it's under the bed. That's a weird place. In my opinion, at night, if you're really trying to protect yourself, you don't want to have to scrabble around underneath the bed to get it. But okay, it's under your bed. That's what he says. All right. Now, during the early morning hours, I woke up and went to the balcony to bring the fan in and close the sliding doors. So he's got the sliding doors open, which if you're really paranoid, I don't think that makes a lot of sense. And so he went to bring the fan in and close the sliding doors. Okay, so what's happening here? Let me show you a picture of his house, sort of where he's, okay. So theoretically, see, this is her bedroom. What? Wait a minute. What? Okay, hold on a second. What? Oh, yeah. Okay, that's correct. All right. Some of the pictures differ as to who's sleeping on what side. It gets a little confusing. But anyway, this is supposed to be Oscar, obviously, and this is supposed to be Riva. All right, and over here is where the fans are. This is the balcony. So theoretically, he gets annoyed with these the fans, and he doesn't need them anymore. So he gets up and he goes here and he brings the fans in, and he's closing things. The fans, I want to point this out. The fans are still running. The fans are still running. He never ever claims those fans were off. The fans are still running. Nobody ever asked him about that. I don't understand why, but this is important. The fans are still running. Then he says, I heard a noise in the bathroom. The fans are still running. How much of a noise? Now, the bathroom is like 20 feet away down a hall. So, can you see this? Okay, so this is the bedroom door, and then you go out, and then you go up here to the bathroom. And this is where the bathroom windows are that you saw me show the picture of, right? And this is the toilet where Riva ends up getting killed in. And so this is the bathroom. So supposedly there's a noise. Later on, he says, he doesn't say it in this one, because he says someone was in the bathroom. So the window, okay, he says there's no burglar bars across the window. And he was afraid that somebody basically opened up these windows. He heard this going, Argh. Now it's 20 feet away, and he's got fans blowing. You would really hear somebody opening a window when you're that far away and the fans are blowing? I'm going to say that's probably not likely. Okay, so anyway, that's what he claims. Now, he said, I realized someone was in the bathroom. Okay. He realized someone was in the bathroom. Now, I want to just read you his later statement. Okay, his later statement is this. Okay, they fell asleep. he says he woke up at the early hours and Ms. Steenkamp asked him, "Can't you sleep, my Baba?" He told the court he could not sleep, and he had brought in 2 fans from the balcony. Then he described he heard a noise from the bathroom. Again, the fans are blowing. He hears a noise in the bathroom. Now, the first time around, she's apparently sleeping, and he doesn't even talk to her. The second time around, she's awake. Okay, and he supposedly now here he is over here, and he supposedly, now get this. Okay, so supposedly while he's getting the fans out, he's getting the fans out here, and he's pulling the curtains, and he's also covering up an area that there's some bright lights right here. Supposedly he doesn't want to see bright lights because it bothered him when he was sleeping, but apparently it doesn't. Bright lights would probably light up part of the room, but hey, he wants to pretend the room was dark, and so he didn't know that Reva had left the room and gone into the bathroom. Not only into the bathroom, but into the toilet. He didn't know she had left the room. Now, in the first round rendition, they never talked, and she just left the room. The second rendition, they actually talked, and then she left the room while he had his back turned, and he was working on those fans. Now, I'm going to ask you this. I'm going to stop right here because I want to ask you all a question. I'm going to stop and listen to what you have to say. Tell me this, guys. If you live with somebody and you sleep in the same room and there's a bathroom down the hall and you hear a noise in the bathroom, how many of you would expect that noise in the bathroom would come from the person sleeping in the bed with you, that they got up and went to the bathroom? I mean, don't people go to the bathroom in the middle of the night? And especially if they're awake, the second time around he gave the story, wouldn't they might go to the bathroom? And when you heard a noise in the bathroom, wouldn't the first thought you had would be, oh, Reva must be in the bathroom? What do you think, guys? I just want to hear you say this because I just think that is the most bizarre thing ever. I'm like, wouldn't you think? You'd think she was in the bathroom. I mean, okay, Martin, I would assume it's an intruder and shoot them 4 times. Exactly. And Emily says definitely. Yeah, it just blows me away because, I was married for 25 years and I've woken up many a time and my husband was not next to me and I heard sounds in the bathroom. And I, by the way, had renters in my house. I never thought, oh my God, something's gone wrong here. I just assumed he was going to the bathroom. If he didn't come back, I might question it. But I also was armed. I never went and shot anybody in the bathroom. And even when I lived alone in the house and just had a renter, I never thought when I heard a noise in the bathroom, the first thought I would have is the renter must be in the bathroom. I never thought, oh my goodness, the renter must be sleeping in his room and this must be an intruder. Let me go shoot through the bathroom door. That is to me just bizarre. And then nobody seems to talk about this fact. If you have somebody, and this is the first time she slept over, if you're like a dude who's never had a woman and you've never had anybody in your life before, and she's like sleeping over for the first night, you might not understand that she might want to go to the bathroom. But if she slept over a lot and you've had other women in your life, I'm pretty sure that one of those women did not make it through that entire 8 hours without having to pee. Especially if you had a night and you've been drinking stuff, that girl's going to pee in that bathroom. I'm sure you've heard many a time somebody peeing in that bathroom or gone or left the room and you heard a noise. You wouldn't assume, makes no sense. You would assume immediately it was an intruder. That's my number one point that I want to make tonight. The second one was if the fans were running, how the hell did you hear something, a tiny sliding window? How did you hear that? I don't think you can hear that, Oscar. That's ridiculous. If you have the fans running, I've had fans in my room. You can hardly hear a damn thing past those fans. That bothers me. Or if you hear a noise in the toilet, well, what noise did he hear in the toilet? Okay, so anyway, it just gets stupider and stupider to me. So, okay, let me go on how stupider it gets. So now Oscar's all freaked out that there's an intruder out here. Now, apparently he goes and he says the window is open. All right, answer me this. In the middle of the night, Reva has to go to the bathroom. So she does. She goes into the bathroom and goes into the toilet, like right away. She's not like hanging out doing other stuff. She's going into the toilet. Why is the window open? Can somebody answer that? Oh, wait a minute. Didn't Oscar find out there was no intruder? If there was no intruder, why is the window open? Did Reva say, I've got to pee. Let me open the window on my way by so I can pee in the toilet? That makes no sense. Or did Oscar open the window after the fact? I think anybody who knows the Madeleine McCann case will say that's probably what happened. Because it makes no sense that window was open. If he was so paranoid about killers getting in, especially with those ladders outside, he wouldn't have left the window open. I'm not sure what the issue is about locking windows here, but he wouldn't have left it open. And she would have opened it just to go to the bathroom in the middle of the damn night. It makes no sense. So there's another thing. So how did that window get open, and why would it be open if she's just going to the bathroom? Now, the next thing that I just want to point this out, because a lot of people say this, and I think this is you shouldn't go there with it. Sometimes people will come up with ideas and they'll go, well, first of all, she was hiding in the bathroom because the door was locked. She had locked the door, and that's not a question. She had locked the door, and she had her telephone with her cell phone. So people say she must have gone in there to hide from him. They supposedly there was a question about whether people heard a lot of arguments before, and that she went in there to hide from him because she was terrified, and she locked the door. Maybe was going to make a phone call to ask for help. Now, that's not a bad theory, but I just want to point this out to be fair. I lock the door when I go into the bathroom at night. Now, I don't lock it here. I live alone right now, so I do not lock my door, but I always lock my door when I'm around other people. Even just if I'm in a hotel room with my husband, well, it's my ex now, but with my husband, I did lock the door. You know why? Not because I was terrified of my husband or anybody else would get in, but I am just not big on people seeing me peeing on the toilet. Sorry, it's just, that just, to me, I'm just not into that. I go into a bathroom, even to brush my teeth, I lock the door because I really don't like people seeing me going, I just think it's disgusting. Okay, it's just me. I don't go for double sinks. I think double sinks, people, I have to have 2 sinks so my husband can pee. So I'm sorry. Hopefully he doesn't pee in the sink. My husband can brush his teeth over there, and I can brush my teeth here. I'm like, I don't want that dude in the bathroom when I'm brushing my teeth. I just don't. That's a private moment for me. I want to pee and brush my teeth on my own. I don't want anybody in the damn bathroom with me. That's just not me. Just my thing. So I would have locked the door. Now, second thing, I have been with people in hotels, my sister, people I traveled with, my ex, when I was married to him. I would take my phone into that bathroom. And why would I do that? Somebody tell me. One of you wonderful people here, tell me, why would you take your phone into the bathroom? Why would you do that? What would be the reason you would take your phone into the bathroom? There we go. I'm with Pat. No shared bathrooms. Enough things. Some things just, the idea of keeping a little romance in the relationship. It's like when somebody sees you like brushing your teeth and peeing and crapping, it's not as attractive anymore. Okay. Oh, well, there's a good one. Oh, I didn't think of that one, but that's good. Spring Daisy says, in case you slip and fall and need to call for help. I just want to point out that that's brilliant, and I'll tell you why. That's not to do with this case, but I do this. See this phone? Well, watch this. Okay, this is probably something you don't need to see. I often carry my phone here, and the reason I do that is because when I go out and feed the animals out we have animals. We have llamas and alpacas and a horse and a donkey. Sometimes I go out and feed them, and the last thing I need is that one of those like the llama, probably the llama, just kicks me and knocks me in the head. And I go down, and if I have this phone in my hand, what will happen is the phone might fly, and I can't reach it to get help. So I do this because I'm a female and I got a sports bra, so I can do that, and then I can be laying on the ground and I can pull this out. So that's pretty cool. So yes, I think people who, especially people who are older, sometimes take it with them because something could happen wherever they are. They like it to be with them in the bathroom. Now, for me, for many years, I worked as a sign language interpreter, and I was on 24/7, and also for television, because I would get phone calls at 2 a.m. from maybe from the UK on a case. I did not want to miss that phone call. That phone would be with me wherever I went. It would be with me in the bathroom. It would be like literally every place because I want it with me But there's another reason people take their uh, Alicia says, I hold my own phone there too. Okay, some people probably didn't need to know we do that, but there you go. Oh, I like this. This is interesting. I've used fans in the past to drown out the sound of my neighbors. Right. So yeah, you would not hear. There we go. That's the one I'm looking for. Lorca says, I like reading in the bathroom. And that is true. And this is what Joe says, because phones are the modern newspapers. I have gotten up in the middle of the night. And of course, what do you want to do? Check your email, right? I also want to see if I got any new subscribers to YouTube. And if I'm in the room, I'm in a room where somebody else is sleeping, if you take this phone out and you hit something, that sucker is bright and it pisses people off. It wakes them up. So what you do, if you can't get it under the covers, is you go to the bathroom, and you get into the bathroom and you go, man, do I have any email? Because you can't, maybe you're not sleeping. You just want to check your stuff out. So I don't like that concept that Reva had to go to the bathroom and locked it because she was scared, locked it because she had to make a phone call to emergency and get saved. Maybe that is true. And it may exactly be what happened. It may exactly be what happened. She may have been terrified and run into there. And personally, I think she did. I'm just saying, you got to be careful when you say this is what it means, because you don't know that. It has two possible meanings. One, she locked the door out of fear, or she locked the door because she didn't like people coming in, or two, she took the phone because she needed to call for help, or two, because she wanted to look at her email. Both are possible. So you have to look at the circumstances under which it happened. Now, let me go to one of the most important things again. Look at where she is. This is where the intruder is supposed to be. Now, I don't know about you, but okay, so you're living in a place where there's horrible home invasions. You got this house full of wealthy things. So this dude climbs up a ladder, comes through the window here. And what does he do? He goes to the bathroom. What? He's like, man, I gotta pee. I gotta pee before I invade this home the rest of the way. Why would he be hiding why would he be in the bathroom? Why would he even be hiding in the bathroom? A home invader is not even going to go here. That's nonsense. The first thing a home invader is going to do is get the hell out of the bathroom area, come down to where the bedroom is, the living room, and all those people are that he wants to rob, that he wants to get stuff out of. He's going to move quickly. So don't tell me that the first thing the home invader is going to do is go in the damn bathroom and lock himself in. What? This is a stupid story. So okay, Joe says the only problem is if you run out of toilet paper, you can't use your phone as you can in newspaper. Trust me, I've tried. I have an ass hose. Just want to let you all know that's a hose you hook on. It's on the bathroom, and then you take it and it sprays. They have this in India, every place. And during the coronavirus, remember that time when you couldn't get any toilet paper? I had an ass hose, so I was good to go. I already had that. So recommend. I should put that on my Amazon thing below, so I can make 2 cents every time you buy an ass hose. So I'm going to get to some of these other issues you're talking about later, but I want to point, and that's true. I'm going to get to some of the clothing issues and all that stuff. But what I want to point out here is not the things that you can argue over. And let me point this out while I'm at it. Okay. Alicia says, I will agree with that. I think her clothing showed more why she was in the bathroom. Her clothing was she had a shirt on and a short pair of shorts. That could indicate she had never gone to bed. It could also indicate she doesn't want to sleep. And maybe she came over and didn't have something to change into. Maybe she likes sleeping in shorts and a shirt. A lot of women do. So this again is one of those things that goes along with why you lock a door and bring a cell phone in. They're interesting, but they're not proof. I stay with things that would a dude climb in the window to rob a house and go hide in the bathroom? That there's no other explanation for. There's no other explanation. For Oscar to wake up and immediately assume he's got an intruder rather than his girlfriend went to the bathroom, that's hard to explain away. That he heard this window opening over the sound of the fans, that's hard to explain away. Now, here's the next one that's hard to explain away. Now, okay, let's see if it's kind of hard to show it. Where the heck is the other part of the room? Hold on. Oh, there. Okay. Now, what do you see here? You see, okay, see that? That's called a door going out of your bedroom. You see that? That's a door going down to your very fancy, That's your private bathroom, for the master bedroom. Is there, oh, look at that. See that wall? Yeah, that's a wall. Now, you hear somebody over here breaking in. What you don't do is go down this long hall and then go up here and get yourself trapped. Because if he knows South Africa as much as he says he knows South Africa and all the home invasion issues, it's often not one dude. It's 2, 3, 4. It's a gang. You got a gun, and he's on his stumps. He admits he was already scared because he was on his stumps and not on his prosthesis legs. You don't go toward the killers, the guys with the guns. You don't go toward. They're not killers. They're invaders, the home invaders. You don't go. First of all, you're gonna get trapped in this damn hallway. Then you're gonna get trapped in this hallway. Then he's gonna go up all the way here and get trapped in here. No, I don't think so. I do not think that makes any damn sense. What you do is you get your girlfriend and you get the hell out of the house because you're here and you can get out here. So you go like this. Riva, follow me quickly. I hear somebody over here. Let's go there. You get behind me. We'll walk here. We'll use a gun. Whatever. We'll get out of here. As a matter of fact, that's a door. Couldn't he just close that damn door? Anyway, he could get out. Now, if you're not going to do that, what you do is you hide over here behind your bed. You got your gun ready. You're facing this way. Okay, I'm behind the bed. You face it toward this door here, right there. And you say, if the dudes come in that room, I will shoot them. First of all, you make sure that Riva is with you behind the damn bed. And then you focus on the door right here. Oops, right here. And you're waiting for the guy to come through. Then you go bang, bang, bang. Because you know who you're shooting. And if this guy comes through the damn window, the only way he can come is that way toward the bedroom. You get behind the bed and you hold your gun over the bed and you shoot. Right there. Boom, 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 boom. Right at that spot. Don't tell me you get out of bed, leave your girlfriend, you don't even know is there, unattended, and then go down a long hallway toward the invaders. No. And you're scared and you got no, I don't believe it. I don't believe it for a minute. That's the stupidest story I've ever heard. And on top of this, now, mind you, the other thing about Riva and this bed. Now, see how big this bed is? Okay, it's not. It's a bed with 2 people let me go back to the original picture on this. Okay, let me go back to the picture of where they're sitting together happily on the bed. Okay, where is it? Alrighty. And here we are. Okay, there they are on the bed. Now, supposedly he gets up out of the bed and he goes over here to the windows. Now, he claims that she got out of this bed while he was looking out the window and got past him to go to the bathroom. Now, that can happen. I don't have an objection to that. That could have happened. He could have been busy, and she could have just said, I got to pee. She gets out. She could have even got out. She could have come out of here and just jump off this side of the bed. I'm okay with that. She didn't know she left the room. That's reasonable. That can happen. Here's the thing. You suddenly hear somebody in the bathroom. You're standing right damn here when you hear this. The first thing you do is you go over here and you go, Riva, Riva, and you touch her. And if you don't feel her there, you go like this. What the hell are you, Riva? He ignored that, went around. I gotta do this with my finger. He went around the bed. Supposedly his weapon was underneath his bed right here. He goes underneath the bed. Still, Riva, Riva. He talks to her. She never answers. He never pats the bed. He never looks for her with his hands. He just assumes she was there and she heard him say, call the police. This is a second story, not the first story. Call the police. Then, this is an interesting, when he comes down here, he supposedly starts yelling. Okay, he's coming down this hallway, right? He's got his gun. He's now trapped. What does he do when he gets trapped and he's about here? He yells, get the fuck out of my house. I got to say this because I'm already demonetized. Because he actually said this. Get the fuck out of my house. Get the fuck out of my house. Now, he's got the guy trapped, apparently, because what's a guy supposed to do? He's supposed to be in the bathroom. What's he going to do? Come out and climb out the window and jump? Onto the ladder? What's he going to do? Why is he yelling that to begin with? Makes no sense. I don't think he was yelling that because the interesting thing about that whole statement, first of all, he would not only is it stupid because the guy can't, how's he going to get past him unless he climbs back out the window? And, he doesn't tell the guy he's got I've got a gun. I've got it pointed at you. He doesn't say this. So the only other thing that happened is a guy would rush him. So why would you want to tell the person where you are so they can shoot you? Because if the guy's got a weapon, and let's face it, if you're a home invader, you're probably better with weapons than you are if you're the Blade Runner. You know what I mean? You're probably better. I have a weapon, but I'm going to assume that anybody who's got a weapon that gets into my house is probably better, more skilled than I am. I'm just going to guess that. So I'm going to do the thing that I have to do that's going to take me the least work to shoot that person, because if I give them a chance, they're going to kill me. So he's, hey guys, I'm over here. Shoot me. I'm coming. This is ridiculous. You don't yell that. But the statement he made, get the fuck out of the house, get the fuck out of the house, it's not something you yell at an invader. It's something you yell at a girlfriend that you're pissed at because you're mad at her. Get the fuck out of my house. That's the kind of thing you yell at her. So a lot of times when you're trying to come up with a story, you borrow something that really happened and then you try to attribute it to something else. So then let's go to where he shot her, actually. Okay, so now check this out. So this is the place. This is where he shot 4 times through the door. Now, the reason that he was charged with murder, let me tell you what the original thing he was charged with. He was charged with, let me see if I can find it, was called culpable homicide. That's the same thing as involuntary manslaughter, which I think is incorrect. He shot 4 times through this door. So he had only one purpose, and one purpose alone, was to kill the person that was behind the door. He didn't shoot at the ceiling. He didn't shoot at the floor. He didn't just make noise. He shot 4 times through it. It's a very tiny, tiny little room. We're talking about, this is a whole bathroom. Over here, you see the shower part. This is just a toilet in a closet is what it is. You cannot miss a toilet in a closet. And a person who's next to that toilet in a closet, by the way, she apparently had her shorts on and her top on. So she wasn't peeing at the time. So what was she doing in there? She could be just sitting there looking at her phone, but hey, again, kind of weird. But anyway, whoever was in that bathroom, when he shot those 4 shots, that person was going to be killed. That was totally homicide, murder, not a culpable homicide, not involuntary manslaughter, like he accidentally killed somebody. No, he planned to kill whoever was behind the door. Whether it was Riva or it wasn't Riva, it doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter if it's a quote home invader, because that home invader had not proven at that point to be a danger. That could have been a 10-year-old kid who climbed through the window. He had no idea that person had a weapon. He had absolutely no clue. If he thought it was truly a home invader, really didn't know if the guy had a weapon. Now, I'm not saying you're comfortable with that concept, but he didn't see the guy. The guy was already trapped here. There's a lot of choices he could have made, but he made a choice to shoot through that door 4 times, intending to kill who was ever behind that door. So it's murder, regardless. So what happened was interesting. In the beginning, because he sobbed a lot in court and looked really sad, the judge actually gave him this involuntary manslaughter, which was like 6 years. And then the prosecution actually fought back and asked for an appeal. They're like, this is ridiculous. This was not accidental. This was not a mistake. He purposely shot through the door. So he wanted to kill whomever was behind the door. And he did. So they finally got, I think, 16 years at that point. And he's now to the point where they might give him, early parole and all that kind of stuff. I won't get into that whole nightmare. But the point is he intended to kill whoever was behind the door. That's number one. So it was a murder, regardless of whether he thought it was Riva or he didn't think it was Riva. The second thing, in my opinion, is everything that he said leads me to believe that he knew damn well it was Riva. Now, I'm going to even ignore the issue of the supposed argument that they had, the clothing she was wearing, the fact that it was a locked door with a phone. Let's ignore all of that. The fact is that when he hears a noise he couldn't have heard, which is the window being opened. He found an open window, which doesn't make any sense because Riva wouldn't have opened it. So so then maybe that was the intruder coming in. He never checked for Riva. He never got a response from Riva. He didn't check to see if she was there. He didn't protect Riva. He didn't go out the door with Riva, out this door that I talked about here. That he should have just gone out the damn door. He didn't protect her from behind the bed, which would be more sensible. Instead, all the things he does leads me to believe he never feared. He never feared coming down that hallway. He knew he was not going to get shot. He knew he wasn't going to get shot when he got here. He knew that because he knew there was no intruder. He knew exactly who was in that bathroom. Otherwise, he wouldn't have made those moves, especially as scared as he was. Oh my God, I'm so scared. I'm on my stump. So let me go toward the intruders. Let me get myself trapped in here. No. Let me not protect her. No, I don't believe it for a minute. And then the other thing I thought was interesting, after he finds out that he supposedly killed her, he's like, oh, look, so somebody's dead behind that door. He gets the cricket bat and supposedly smashes the door down. There's a lot of questions over whether he used that bat prior or during or after or both. And then he gets the door open, finds her. Wait a minute. When did he put his prosthetic legs on? At some point where he knew he had shot Reva, he went and put his prosthetic legs on and came back. And I'm like, that's when you put your prosthetic legs on. You know, your girlfriend's dying or dead, and you're not, you know, you're gonna go get your legs. I mean, wouldn't you just try to save her life at that point? I mean, what the heck? Why didn't you call it? And why aren't you calling the police? Why are you calling a friend? Anyway, so that gets all to a whole nother complicated issue of his post crime behavior. But to me, let's ignore all of that because we can argue over all of that. As he's confused, he's upset, he doesn't know what's going on anymore, he's lost his mind. Okay, all of that's fine. But the things I point out, I can't get past. I cannot get past those particular issues. So those are the ones that say to me, I have a trouble saying he didn't A, commit murder, and B, he didn't know Reva was behind that door. I do not believe he thought there was truly an intruder in that house because none of his behaviors showed me that he thought it was really an intruder or that he could have even thought there was an intruder. Not even thought there was an intruder. So let me go to some of your questions now. Let's see what you have to say here. Was she trying to get away from him? Maybe. I mean, you know, if somebody's blocking. See, the thing is, if they were in that bed, let's say they're in the bedroom here and he starts threatening her. Maybe he picked up the bat and he's starting to threaten her. And if he's down here by the door, this door here, she can't get out. She's trapped in there. She's only got one choice, and the only choice she has is, let me see if I can get my hand in the right place here. Okay, she can't get out here. He's threatening her here. She's got to go back into the bathroom. It's the only safe place she can even think of going is to lock herself in that toilet. That's it. And so that's probably what she did. I'm going to say that. And Dr. Ahmed says, I think he insulted her. Well, I don't think insulting her has anything to do with anything because it doesn't matter whether they insulted her. He attacked her, so she ran to the bathroom for shelter with her mobile phone to call emergency. Fearing about his reputation, he lost it and shot her. Yeah, I believe that is basically correct. The question would be, what enraged him to the point of killing her? And I do not know that. And none of us will ever know that. He does seem to have a interesting problem with doing things in a spur of the moment that probably aren't the wisest things. It seemed like they were happy, but there were some issues in the past. So at moment at night, did something go on between them that enraged him? And I don't know. And it doesn't really matter. See, this is the kind of thing we want to dig so deep and figure it all out. We're going to prove we don't know. We have no idea what went on behind closed doors. And even if, as I said, I thought he sounded like the nicest guy outside on the television interviews, came across great. But I know damn well behind closed doors, many things happen that people have not a clue about. You can be the happiest looking couple in the world in public, but all hell's going on behind the doors. So, and it doesn't mean that the woman won't still try or the man won't still try to save that relationship because it's complicated. So those things are interesting, but they don't really matter. What we do know is he shot whoever was behind that door intentionally. That's murder. And that the likelihood of him thinking there was really an intruder is very minimal because his story doesn't make sense and it changed. And the fact that he didn't do anything to protect her, did all the things that would make no sense if there were an intruder, tells me there was no intruder. So there we go. Let's see. And this is probably true, but we again don't know. She was dressed probably because they'd been arguing. He became angry, so she barricaded herself. Probably. We just don't know. And that's why I don't go with those aren't I have these key things. The key things to me are what I pointed out are the key things. The other things, the locked door, the clothing, the phone, can't really prove those things because there could be other reasons for that. But I'm going to say the things I pointed out, there's no other reasons for. And that's the things that stand out to me because, what are the excuses for the other things? Forever says, I don't believe anyone bought his dumb stories. None made sense. Well, that's very nice, Emily. Give a thumbs up. Thank you. Let's see. Didn't Reva flush the toilet being shot? If so, doesn't this indicate someone, his girlfriend, was using the toilet rather than hiding? Joe, I can't remember. I point this out to anybody who ever watches any of my shows because, they're like, why didn't you know that particular point? I'm like, I don't know. I was reading so much crap in such a short period of time. I might have missed that. I don't remember that. What I did want to point out, though, is there was an issue over the first shot and the next 3 shots. The first shot hit her in the hip, and that meant most likely she was standing. And then there was a tiny space, and then there were the other 3 shots. If she was shot in the hip, the likelihood of her screaming out in pain is pretty likely. And then whoever it was outside with a gun, oh yeah, that was Oscar, shot 3 more times at the person who was screaming in pain. And that person went down. So that he didn't know it was her again, it is really unlikely. Really unlikely. What? Oh, wait a minute. Just let me see what else you have here. I'm going backward. Molly says, perhaps we should all take a firearm into the bathroom just in case a shootout begins. You never know. There are some people who do that, actually, Molly, because, the problem is when you're in somebody else's house, they have the gun. You don't have the gun. When you're in your own house, you might have your weapon. And therefore, yes, you could carry it around with you, every place you go. Of course, it gets a little unwieldy and a little bit paranoid. It all depends on your situation, who is around, and how endangered you feel. I did have a point in my life where I did suspect that someone might want to do me harm, and I lived in a big old house, and I didn't know if I'd hear them coming up the stairs. I did have a locked door. It was locked with a bolt, and I did have a weapon. So I mean, I recommend that highly to anybody who thinks they're about to get killed. But if you have a rage problem, probably your gun should be in a thing called a safe, and you shouldn't have access to it. Or if you're have a problem with fantastical thinking, that you jump at everything and think that everybody's out to get you every single second because you have a psychiatric problem, your gun should be in a safe. The only reason you should have a weapon nearby that you handle is because you are, first of all, your thinking is proper, and secondly, that the person with you is also comfortable with that, and that you would not use it except under the purposes of the only reason you're ever supposed to point a gun and pull the trigger. Only reason is always this: that you know who you're aiming at. You know that if you don't pull the trigger at that moment at the person you're aiming at, that in the next second you will be dead. That's your only excuse. That's it. And so if you can't follow those rules, which are the strong rules of owning a firearm, then you shouldn't own a firearm. You should not be an idiot, because you get people killed. And apparently that's what happened here. And his rage got the better of him, it seems to me. Yeah, well, poor woman didn't stand a chance. Well, unfortunately, one of the tricky problems always is in any relationship issue is when you hook up with people, and a lot of times you're young and you can't really analyze very well before you get into a serious relationship what kind of person they are. This is why she was already 3 months into the relationship. They're sleeping in his house. See, I mean, I know that's the way the modern world is, but it would be nice if it didn't move so quickly. It would be nice if you had time to get to know the person before you slept with them, before you were overnight with them, where you got to know them and to know if they're a decent human being before you ended up in a isolated situation with them. Date rape often happens under those same circumstances where you don't know the person well enough and you end up at their place and you've both been drinking, and then you end up, things happen. And it's because you couldn't trust that person 100% because you really didn't know them well enough. I don't know that Reva knew him well enough to trust him 100%. And yet she was in a situation which she was already finding issues with. Now, this is something else I just want to tell women. If you're already having issues, you only been together 3 months and you're already concerned about his behaviors. And she pointed out his behaviors scared her. When somebody's behaviors scare you, do you know what you do? Run like hell. Get out of that relationship as quick as you can go, because if their relationship, there's no reason their behavior should scare you. what kind of behaviors does a person have to scare you? That was a huge red flag. And I think Riva completely missed it probably because he was very attractive. He was famous. He was rich. It was all those things. And so what happens is when a person has all those things going for them, you tend to downplay some of their bad behaviors and think, I can fix this because I want to be with this dude. Maybe you should just run like hell. I don't know about whether he gets to wear his blades in prison. It doesn't. I don't know that she was breaking things off. Whoops. I don't know that she was. What am I looking at? I don't know that she was breaking things off. She was having issues with him, and she was concerned, and she was also leaving him the "I love you" Valentine thing, which I think was true. I think she was confused and trying to say, "Hey, this doesn't change. We can't have a relationship." And God knows what happened after that. I really don't know. I want to point out, yes, for her to text him saying she was scared. I'm scared of you sometimes and how you snap at me and how you will react to me. That is disturbing. Absolutely. People just don't pay enough attention to the signs. The signs are there. They're always there. It's not like she never saw a thing. He was the greatest guy up until the moment he shot her. No, the signs are there and they start building, but people don't run away quick enough. They try to excuse the behaviors or think it's somehow we can talk about it. There are things you can talk about. There are things you can't talk about. When people start scaring you, when people start becoming very controlling, you don't talk about them with that person. You get the hell out of there because that's a narcissistic personality disorder and you can't fix it. You can talk about what kind of restaurant you want to go to. You can talk about, okay, what kind of lifestyle do we want to lead? What kind of, should we get married or shouldn't we get married? You can talk about those things. But when a person starts hurting you emotionally, hurting you physically, that's when you run away. Get the hell out of there. I mean, there's another fish in that damn sea. Don't get eaten by that shark. It's not okay. Wow, that's an interesting statistic. In South Africa, a woman is killed by her partner every 8 hours. Yeah, it made some. Unfortunately, South Africa suffered a lot of stuff with severe poverty and apartheid and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of things that go wrong in the raising of children and the way they think and what happens to them in the community, and so it can be a very volatile place. But what people didn't expect, as I'll tell you, this is what people didn't expect, and it was interesting because when you're suffering from severe poverty and your family's been torn apart and you're living under apartheid, as many Black Africans were, South Africans, that they were fighting very hard actually for Riva because they're like, hey, we know what this is like. we live like this. And they were hoping that in this particular instance, these were not poor people. And they were not Black South Africans. They were white South Africans and not poor. I'm not making a political statement here. I'm just pointing out an issue where for them, they're like, okay, well, this happens to us because of our tragic circumstances, but you all rich. You all are rich. And you're, the guy's a millionaire and she's gorgeous and they get all the support from the community. They're not suffering. And yet it's still happening. Even in those relationships, women are getting brutally murdered. So if it can happen to them, hey, it can happen to us who are poor and struggling and are living under horrific. Now, apartheid was over, but it was still the apartheid effects are still there. So I think they were trying to say, if it can happen to her, it can happen to anybody, and pay attention because she's a great example of how that, can work out. So they were very, very supportive. The Black community in South Africa is extremely supportive of this particular incident because the women were, because they're like, this is what we've been trying to tell you, and we don't have it so good as Riva. We didn't have as many choices as Riva. So, you ignored us, but hey, can you ignore Riva? Because, hey, so I think that was very important. Women think they can fix things, even men. No. Men, there's also men, let me be fair. There's men who have the same problem with women. They hook up with women and they're like, she's like a real major problem. She lies and she manipulates and she does this and she does that. And they're going, well, I feel like if I could just do this, she would be nicer to me. I'm like, no, you need to run away. Same. So men, now it's true that because males, generally speaking, are physically stronger and maybe have higher economic issues, abilities, that women tend to be more victims of domestic abuse than men. But it doesn't mean it doesn't happen to men as well. And it also doesn't mean it doesn't happen in male-male relationships and female-female relationships as well. So the basic concept is no matter who you're in a relationship with, and that includes your children. Because how many of you have heard of an older person? Like me. My sons are 38 and wonderful people. And so is my daughter. She's wonderful too. And so, but what if they're not? What if they're abusing? Elder abuse is a big thing. And so if I'm living with a child who is, they're in their 30s or 40s or even 20s, and that child is abusive, and I keep making excuses for them, saying, well, they're having trouble. They're having their own problems now. He has a drug problem. He has a employment problem. He's got a girlfriend problem, whatever the hell the excuse is. But meanwhile, he's stealing my stuff and he's attacking me. And then one day, guess what happens? The police get a phone call that Pat Brown is dead on the floor with 70 stab wounds because that son that she was, trying to be nice about and didn't run away from and didn't kick out of the house and stabbed her to death. Thank God I don't have those children. No, I don't have great kids. All three are great kids. I'm not worried about them. I don't have to run away from my children. But some people do. They have to run away from their children. They have to run away from their grandchildren. They have to run away from their sisters, their brothers. Some people have to run away from their parents. If that person has that kind of personality where they're a danger to you, get out. Don't you make excuses. They need to fix themselves, and you can help them maybe from a distance. But they have to take care of themselves and get themselves mentally healthy if it's even possible. But if you stay there with them, you're just going to become a victim. Doesn't matter who you are. You'll become a victim. Joe says, is it time to mention Amber Heard again? Okay, anybody that doesn't know what Joe's talking about, okay, I'll mention Amber Heard just because. Okay, so Amber Heard and, what's his name? What's his name? Okay, Joe, come on. If you're going to bring this up, you got to give me, what's his name's name? Because I'm just blanking now. Who's she married? Okay. What's wrong with me? I'm just blanking on his name. Hey, Joe, what's his name? I'm going to have to Google over here just so I can. Come on now. Thank you, Johnny Depp. Okay. Johnny Depp. By the way, really great in Sweeney Todd. That's my favorite Johnny Depp role. He was in Sweeney Todd, and I thought it was fantastic because I'm a Sweeney Todd freak, and he did a great job, and I was surprised. Anyway, so Johnny Depp, yeah. So I was in the green room in New York. I don't know what show was going on, but I was in New York in a green room with Amber Heard, and she was there with her manager or whatever she was there, hopefully her controller. But anyway, she was just starting to date Johnny Depp. And I'm in this, I didn't know much about either one of them, but I'm in the room with her for like an hour. And oh my God, after that hour, I'm like, whoever ends up with that woman, they are in so much trouble because in my opinion, in 1 hour, I looked like she had a massive narcissistic personality disorder. And I wouldn't want to be hooked up with her for anything in the world. And I thought, whoever hooks up with her is so screwed. And now you see what happened to Johnny Depp. so screwed. Absolutely. So screwed. Forever says, you're so right, Pat. Keep saying that about abusive people. Yeah, it's if people are abusive, just don't need to be there. They have to fix their problem. And I know some people can never fix their problem. Some people can. I'm not going to say nobody can ever change. But I've always thought this, like, for example, people meet, let's say they meet somebody and the person is just coming out of a dependency program. They're maybe dependent on drugs or alcohol or whatever. And they let that person move in. It's like, how long have they been in the program? Oh, 3 months. I'm like, oh, no. Don't be there. First of all, they need to be on their own, like for 2 years. They need to get clean. They need to be clean for 2 years. They need to get their own place. They need to get a job. They need to live a healthy life for a couple of years. Then they can consider a relationship. But if you're letting that guy hook up with you or that girl hook up with you within a few months of them in some program because they've been clean for a couple of months and they don't even have a job yet and they don't have a place to live and they're hooking up with you, oh, no. They're using you. They may not even think that. Their heart may not even be that bad, but they're not ready for that. and you end up in a relationship where there's not stability and there's not a proven track record of health, mental health. So before you hook up with somebody, you should have 2 years of mental health proof that that person is in good shape. For the same reason I say to people, somebody says they're separated from somebody, they're getting divorced, they're separated. Okay, here. Well, when you get divorced, let me see your divorce papers, and then 2 years we'll get to know each other slowly in 2 years. But so that I don't hook up with you because you're just getting out of a relationship. You're not mentally healthy. I want you to be fully out of that relationship. You're not going back to that relationship. You don't have issues over that relationship. The relationship didn't work. You've gotten yourself on your feet. 2 years worth of mental health. Then we'll talk about it. And that's my 2 year thing. Never anything under 2 years. Don't get pregnant with any person under 2 years. Don't get married before 2 years. Give 2 years, 2 solid years. And if that person's worth it, you'll still be together. And then you can say, this is a good choice. That's my soapbox on the 2 year issue. Lurk, do you ever profile your family or friends? Oh no, I would never do that. My family and friends. Yeah. Okay. Do I obviously have opinions? Obviously I do. I'll leave it at that. But I'll leave it at that. Oh, let's see what I want to hear. I work with drug addicts, and the amount of mothers who enable their sons by funding their addiction and criminal behavior is shocking. There you go, Joe. It is amazing. And it's because somehow we think we're saving them. If we can save somebody by helping them in a way that is actually not helping them. And they allow the abuse at the same time to be taken advantage of at the same hand. I always point this out in this country, and I get some flack over people about the homeless issue. I said, in this country, now there are some circumstances which are not true, but I point this out. A lot of times in this country, when somebody's homeless, it's because they burned out every one of their relatives. They have gone to their relatives. The relatives have taken them in. They're homeless. They don't have a job. They give them a place to live. They give them food. And then that person steals from them, uses the money, steals and uses whatever they get for drugs. They disrespect all the rules in the house. They don't work. They're not willing to help around the house. So you're getting a free place to stay, but you're not willing to do cleaning or mow the lawn or whatever. And then and then that person throws you out, and you keep going from house to house to house. And then you have no place to live anymore because no one will take you in. They've all been burned. But the reason they've been burned is because they want to help, but that person hasn't shown them any track record of being willing to help themselves. And that's a very important thing. So I know some people right now who are in that situation. They want to help. And the thing is, okay, don't let the woman into your house because I know what she's doing. Don't let her into your house. Tell her to go to social services. Tell her to go to a homeless shelter. Tell her to go someplace and start getting herself together. But you start letting her in your house, she's already abusing you. And the process has already started. And so abuse is never acceptable. So helping people is wonderful, but being abused by them means that you're hurting yourself, but you're also hurting them, because if you allow it, that means you're allowing them to have unhealthy behavior and that they're not getting any better. So that's something I used to see with men and some women facing legal action if not already incarcerated. A lot of enabling, yeah, tremendous amount of enabling. Let's see. I have a close relative enabled 2 sons who were criminals and addicts. Yeah, it's amazing because sometimes they it's like serial killers in jail, in prison. Well, he should be in prison, and the wife still goes there. I'm like, the dude has just killed like 10 women. What don't you think? Why are you even going there? Well, I think there's still something good about him. No, he's using you. You're enabling him by giving him cigarettes or money, attention, comfort, whatever. The dude doesn't deserve any of that. And then you're playing all the way into that. And so are those women who start up the relationship with men in prison, and then they end up marrying them, having babies, to get conjugal rights in prison, all that kind of stuff. You're enabling them to behave badly. And there's no excuse for that. Don't do that. That's wrong. There's enough good people in the world you can help out. You don't need to be enabling criminals and psychopaths. But the criminals and psychopaths are good manipulators. They sometimes give that person a feeling of worth. So like the son might go to his mother and go, Ma, I'm trying to get over, I I don't want to do drugs anymore. I just need some money because I want to go get some clothes so that I can get a job. Ma, because you're the best person, Ma. You're wonderful. And I know you want the best for me, Ma. And the Ma gives him the money and he goes right out and buys drugs. you know, but he's really good until that point, just, buttering her up and all that crap. It's like, well, that happens. Let's see. I'm going to finish up this because I'm going to have a lovely dinner tonight with someone. So I'm looking forward to not cooking. Molly says, any idea of whether Oscar was enabled by parents or was he simply self-enabled? It's very hard to go back into somebody's history because you're going to get viewpoints from the siblings. You're going to get viewpoints from friends. You're going to get viewpoints from other relatives. You're going to get viewpoints from whatever is in their life. And it's always so many different viewpoints. And especially if you get viewpoints from an author who writes a book, you don't know if half their stuff is true. That's a good question. I don't know. It sounded like his mother actually pushed him to stand, just have to tough it out and be just like everybody else. Like she didn't enable him. Almost sounded that way. That, she was like, hey, you're missing a couple, you're missing half your legs. Okay, well, whatever. You still gotta do what you gotta do. We're not gonna like cuddle you or anything. It seemed like she was that kind of human being. But I don't know. Maybe somewhere along the way, he did get that extra special attention where he started becoming very narcissistic. I don't know. I really honestly don't know. And so I can't really speculate on that. He had some issues. I mean, his father left the family, his mother died. I don't know if that had an effect. I don't know. I honestly don't know. But obviously whatever happened in that house that night was not because of an intruder. Oh, that's an interesting point. This one, would Oscar be labeled a psychopath? Claire asked. I'm going to say more like borderline personality disorder, because that's more a case of where you think you're okay most of the time. You have narcissism problems, but as long as things go okay, you're fine. This is the kind of guy who'll kill his family. A lot of borderline guys do that. It's like until something goes wrong, and I feel like I've lost everything, and I can't, I'm just gonna get rid of you guys too, or I can't let you leave me, that kind of thing, because it'll make me look bad, makes me feel bad. So heavily narcissistic, but I call it borderline personality disorder. But those are just labels we stick on things. That's questionable. Lorca, I did lots of stuff on Dr. Drew, actually. Dr. Drew and I had a long history with Dr. Drew. Dr. Drew always treated me really well, by the way. I just want to say that. He'd always start off his show. He'd have me on to talk about a serial killer or a wife killer or family killer, whatever. And then he'd go, I know, Pat, you're just going to call him a psychopath, aren't you? And I'm like, yeah, probably. Oh, well, I don't know. Was he a spoiled brat? Maybe he was, and that's what the problem was. And maybe he did have everybody cater to him and make sure he was okay more so than other people. So it's entirely possible that he was. Entirely possible. So it's actually hard to know. I want to go to Emily's question about the sentencing, because there was this article, and it kind of makes me throw up. Let me find it. Where did I put it? Hold on one second. All right, here it is. Okay. Okay. So he was found guilty. Okay, state can't. Where the heck did it go? What happens next? Wait a minute. Where'd it go? Oh, here we go. Okay, I knew I had it. That's not it either. This one. Okay, this is what's happening. This was in 2021. December 2nd. So I just found this. So this is an important one. Former South Africa Paralympic superstar Oscar Pistorius jailed 2016 for killing his girlfriend. So it's been only 5 years? Okay. Has been moved closer to her family ahead of reconciliation talks that could help pave the way for his early release from prison. He's eligible for parole after serving half of his 13-year sentence. So basically that's it. 6.5 years, he's eligible for parole. Pistorius is set to speak to Steenkamp's parents, June and Barry Steenkamp, in a process known, which makes me want to throw up. I hate this thing. I hate this garbage. Victim offender dialogue. an integral part of South Africa's restorative justice program. I'm sorry, I have an issue with restorative justice. Here's the thing. You steal stuff from me. You like steal $10,000 worth of stuff from me. I'm okay with you paying back the $10,000 and then we'll have a chat. You come and rape and murder my daughter, I'm not having a chat. Chat's over. You're a psychopath. I have nothing I want to do with you. There's nothing you can say to me, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If Oscar killed Riva because he was pissed off that they were going to break up, and he shot her 4 times in cold blood, I don't see what the discussion is going to be about. The man needs to be in prison the rest of his life. That's my opinion. I don't understand why we have to have a discussion about it. Why I have to feel sorry for him. Why we have to have a talk so he can lie about feeling bad about it, because when people do stuff like a lot of times, the narcissistic personality disorders and psychopaths, they'll lie like dogs just to get what they want. So why should I believe you feel sorry now? Well, you just want to get out of prison. So anyway, restorative justice program in its prison system that brings parties affected by a particular crime together in a bid to achieve closure. Good God. In other words, they're willing to let the criminal who committed the crime to snow the person who they committed the crime against so that they can get out of prison sooner. They are participating in the process because they have committed themselves to being part of the victim-offender dialogue. Now, what happens is they beat on the family over and over and over again until they feel guilty if they don't cooperate. In other words, they feel like at some point they have to, this supposed closure stuff is supposed to happen because they finally are willing to accept his apology. And people do this all the time. Oh, well, you have to forgive somebody. I'm not okay with that. I don't believe you have to forgive somebody to get closure. Here's what I think you do. You say, I can't forgive you because what you did was unforgivable. What I can do is let you, whatever comes after in this life and death, let God forgive you. Let your next life have karma. You turn into an ant. I don't know, whatever the hell it is. I don't have to forgive you. I can forget about you. I can put you over there and say, there's nothing I can do about it. The guy is a psychopath. He's done a horrible thing. He's like a lion who just attacked somebody. I have no business even worrying about forgiving him. I'm going to just say, he did something horrible to my loved one, and he goes and he suffers his own consequences. I have nothing to do with it. I will let God take care of it. I can't. I think I can forgive myself for not having to forgive that schmuck. You know what I mean? I don't see why I have to forgive him. For what? He's a psychopath. He's not even asking for forgiveness. He's lying about asking for forgiveness, but he's not really asking for true forgiveness. He just wants to get off the hook. So why should I participate in this nonsense? This makes me angry when it comes down to this. But they feel they have to do this for Riva because this is where you start getting this pressure. It's a sensitive process. I bet it is. And he's going to get out early. It's a sensitive process, highly emotional, but we do not force people to participate in it. But we are saying at least it does lay a foundation where people can, if possible, forgive each other. What? Forgive each other? What? He's got to forgive them? No. The forgiveness goes one way. He doesn't have to do a damn thing except accept their forgiveness and get out early. And then try to move forward in harmony. No, you don't harmonize with a psychopath or a person with a severe narcissistic personality disorder who just killed your loved one. You don't have harmony. You just let them go. You let them go. You let the system take care of it. You let God take care of it. You let them go. You don't have to forgive them. Just let them go. I think forgiving them is ridiculous. Why should they be forgiven? I'm sorry. I don't get. I don't get. Okay. I just get pissed off at that. Okay, there we go. That's it. I'm done with that speech. It just drives me crazy. I'm okay. Karma is fine with me. Karma, because I don't know. I'm a human. I don't know. Whatever religion you come from, it doesn't matter to me. I don't know, and we all have our own beliefs of what happens after we leave this planet. But I'm going to leave it to whatever happens when we leave this planet. Certainly for now, Oscar is in prison where he should be. He should fill his damn term Reva cannot have a life. He still has a life, and he can still get out and have a life. He should fulfill his term, and he should have to live with his own guilt, and he should pay back society. I don't think the family has to do anything but let him go. That's my speech. Oh, you like my speech? Good. That's the advantage of having a YouTube channel. I get to give speeches, and then everybody can say, I really didn't like that, so I'm going to unsubscribe. But I really do feel strongly about that. I've dealt with so many families, and they honestly believe that forgiving is going to bring closure. It doesn't bring closure. They do all this forgiveness crap, and they're still just as angry as the day before they, quote, forgave. It's because it doesn't work. Because it's not true forgiveness. True forgiveness is something like, see if I can think of true forgiveness. True forgiveness is where you err against somebody, and you come and you say, I'm really sorry I did that. But you didn't destroy their life. You just did something maybe that wasn't quite right. And you say, I want to make up for that. And you also do a thing called restitution. So you do that restitution. And after you say, I understand you're not ready to forgive me now, probably, because I haven't done restitution. I just want to apologize. First of all, I want to apologize. I want to do restitution. After I finish the restitution, then you can think about forgiving me. And that would be really, I mean, if that point you feel like, you believe that I feel bad about what I did and that I've made up for it, and you feel that now you can live with that, and then you say, okay, I can move on with you, quote, in harmony. I'm okay with that. But you don't need to forgive a serial killer. What the heck are you thinking? No, you just let it go. You say the guy is a psychopath, committed horrible crimes, did evil things. I have nothing to do with that person. That person took away maybe my daughter or my wife or whatever, but I can't, there's no way I'm going to forgive that. I'll let it go. I will take myself over here. I will try to live life. I will try to remember my loved one. I'll try to do good things in society. If you have a religion, you do your prayers and whatever you do to get yourself through, and you leave him to God, karma, whatever you want to believe. You leave him to his whatever you leave him to. But I just don't understand why you're supposed to forgive someone who brutally murdered your loved one because they want to get out of prison early. I don't know who that's benefiting, but Oscar's like, please forgive me. I want to get out right now. Oh my God. Yeah, I don't remember. She was saying Dr. Grandi. I can't remember what he said. I think I may have agreed with him on this one. I can't remember. I think I actually may have agreed with mostly what he said on Pistorius. Because sometimes he'd agree, sometimes he'd disagree. But I think that one worked for me. So that is correct, Emily. There's no such thing as closure. There is acceptance. Acceptance and closure are two different things. I don't understand why people don't understand the difference. Acceptance is whatever happens in your life. You lose a loved one, you get divorced, you get stabbed in the back, for whatever it is. I don't know what closure is supposed to be. This fake thing that once you reach this point that somehow you're like, I don't know, there's butterflies and flowers. I mean, no, you accept things. It's like, sometimes life sucks and bad things happen and people do bad things and you accept that. Not that you have closure with it or you forgive it. You just accept it because, well, it sucks, because I'm just trying to think of a small example of something I could think, well, that was shitty. I don't want to use big examples of my life because I don't want to rat on people, but I've been screwed over in life before. Let's say even a small thing. Let's say somebody hit my car in a parking lot and drove away. Well, that's really annoying. It's really upsetting. It's like, man, they didn't take responsibility. They just drove off, and now I got to pay because my insurance isn't going to cover it. So now I'm going to have to pay. I'm going to have to pay a few $100s. I don't want to have to pay. That's not fair. Okay, it's not fair. It was a shabby thing that person did. You could sit there and say, I forgive you, but what's the point? I mean, it's just like, okay, I accept that you're an asshole. You're an asshole. I accept that. And I accept that sometimes bad things happen. So I'll move on. I'll go do what I have to do and I'll move on. So anyway, that's where I stand. And somebody's knocking at my door. So I'm going to head out now and I'll end the show. So anyway, It was lovely being here with you guys. You were fantastic as usual. And I will see you very, very soon. Bye.